Roland, go ahead. Tell me a story. Like one of those weird stories.
One night while I was sleeping, I woke up and had to use the restroom. So I got up to go to the bathroom. And when I reached the foot of the bed, there stood a black alien, in my mind is what I classified it as. And this thing looked like a praying mantis, though, not your typical gray that they describe of. And as soon as I looked into its eyes, it had complete control over me. And I realized this instantly, that I could feel it grasp hold of my thoughts. And I wasn't in huge fear, having a heart attack like I should have been. So somehow they were controlling my emotional state and my mind thoughts. So I was very careful about what I thought, because I knew they would pick up on that right away. And all they really wanted was, they held out, I say they because I had the feeling there was more than one there, but I only remember personally seeing one. And it held its hand out, and my necklace that I had been wearing floated out towards its hand. And it told me through telepathy, "We just want to borrow your necklace." And I said, "Well, no, you can't do that." Although I try not to be attached to things so much, especially material things. This necklace is very important to me because my daughter brought it to me from the Temple of Sun in Mexico. And they said, "Well, we just want to borrow it, and we promise to bring it back." And in my mind, I was screaming, "No, don't take it." And the necklace floated off without any resistance being pulled or anything into their hand. And that's the last thing I remember. And the next morning, I woke up and instantly reached for my necklace, and it was gone. So it really freaked me out, and it made me realize that this really happened, and that either that or I had a very intense lucid dream. So what I did was searched my room thoroughly. It has hardwood floors, and could not find the necklace. I went through all the bedding, could not find the necklace. And the necklace is made out of a very thick ball chain, and with the clasp. So if you're familiar with that, it's very difficult to remove without yanking it or unclasping it in the back. So it was very heavy metal. I'm trying to find it. Big medallion on it, in silver, in cloisonne art. It was on one side a temple, a pyramid, and on the other side was a dancing warrior. So it was something that's not real easy to lose, because it was kind of big for a necklace. And finally, a couple weeks later, I went to my daughter and I said, "I'm really sorry, but I lost the necklace you gave me, and you're not going to believe how it happened," because I still can't believe it. So I told her the story, and she helped me try to find the necklace. We never did find the necklace. And about 2 months later, the man that I was having a long-term relationship with was staying over one evening. And while we were laying in my room, I asked him, "Do you believe in aliens?" He said, "As a matter of fact, I do." And I said, "Well, why is that?" And he said, "Well, I had these friends that were in the desert one time. They were military men. And it's right around the time the polarized sunglasses came out. And my one friend had the polarized sunglasses on and could see a spaceship sitting there in the desert, and said to his friend, 'Do you see that spaceship over there?' And he's like, 'No, I don't.' And here they had gotten a flat tire, and that's why they were standing in the desert. So they walked up to the craft and weren't really afraid of it. They were more inquisitive of what this thing was doing there, since they were in the Air Force, actually. So they went up to the craft, and the next thing they knew, they were inside. And they described the aliens as the gray types. According to his story, this is not my personal account, because I don't even know who these people are. However, it was kind of funny. After that, the aliens asked them if they were hungry, And the one guy was thinking lasagna, the other guy was thinking steak, and the next thing you know, there they go. They give the one guy lasagna, the other guy steak, had a little chit chat with them. They disclosed to them in their conversations through telepathy, once again, that they were working with our government. And then after they were done having a brief conversation, the men were done eating, they said, okay, you have to go now. And they're like, well, we're afraid we can't because we have a flat tire. And they said, no, don't worry about it. You're all ready to go. So next thing they know, they're out by their car, and they have not just one new tire on their car, they got 4 new tires on their car. And I just laughed and said, well, that is hilarious because that doesn't make my story seem so crazy then. And he's like, what are you talking about? And I said, well, I actually had an experience here about 2 months ago. And I repeated the story that I just told you. And what he said to me was, well, perhaps you can't find the necklace because you're looking for it. What did he say? God.
On a certain plane, or?
No, he's like, what? He's like, you're looking for it with your eyes. And I said, well, what is that supposed to mean? And he said, well, just reenact what happened that night. He said, well, all that happened is I stood up, walked to the end of the bed, and there was this creature took hold of me, my emotional state and my mental state. And I reached down where the necklace could have naturally fallen. In the dark, I reached down, and there was the necklace on the hardwood floors that we had searched repeatedly for 2 months. And then I remembered that they had promised they would bring it back, and I wish that they would have brought it back personally so that I could have that experience again, but they did not, and I do not remember meeting with them.
Well, it could have been your boyfriend who took it.
No, he wasn't with me the night that it happened.
And then, or brought it back. He had it.
He didn't know the story until I told him that evening. There was no way he could have done the magic because he wasn't here. That night the necklace came missing, and I had this experience with this creature, this mantis creature. It was black, and it looked like it had armor on. It was almost like really shiny, hard black. And I remember seeing it from the side view.
Exoskeleton.
I'm not sure what it was, but I remember seeing it from the side view also, so I'm not sure if that memory is a previous experience that I had, or if it was from that night, because I had to watch, the view I remember was from the other side of the bed, not the side of the bed that I had walked up to the alien. So I had a view from the other side of bed too, so I don't know if that was during that night or some other experience. But I noticed that the creature had these very thick tentacles, almost like dreadlocks coming out of its head. It almost looked like snakes, but it wasn't snakes. And it looked like reptile skin. It did not look like hair. It was very thick. So that was very unusual. And its face came to a point just like a mantis. And its eyes were huge, black and shiny. And I remember too that there was something very unusual about its body from the arms down, but I don't remember what that point is. I just know that it really shocked me to the point that I can't remember. I'm lucky that I even remember what I remember now, because I'm sure that from what I've heard, they try to wipe out your memories. But then when I think of it again, I'm like, well, why did they want me to trust them, or what was it that they wanted this necklace for and then promised to bring it back? I mean, I've been trying to figure that out. To me, I feel like they want me to trust them, but why, I don't know. And I'd like to get some regression hypnosis therapy to try to figure out, if I have more accounts that I just don't remember because of the shock factor, or because of them eliminating my memories of whatever had happened.
I mean, do you want to talk about the MUFON? I mean, why they came and interviewed you, or?
Well, I saw on YouTube one evening, after searching for quite some time, probably almost 2 years since the incident had happened, I had been searching all over the internet for these black mantis creatures to see if anyone else had ever experienced this thing, and try to figure out what happened and what was going on in my life with this visitation. So I finally came across a video that was very similar to my account, and I became very, very like, wow, I can't believe this, finally someone else had this experience. And so I contacted that person. They just happened to be the one that uploaded that video, and so I was able to contact this person. Well, it turns out this person is an investigator for MUFON, and he's in another state, so he...
What's MUFON stand for?
Mutual UFO Network.
Okay.
They are a nationwide organization that studies abduction and UFO sightings, and just accounts of, such as mine. I don't remember being abducted, and I didn't see any spaceships, but I did have this experience, so they wanted to know what that information was, and that to please contact the Pennsylvania director, which I did, who then put me in touch with a local person who was an investigator. What they told me was that these aliens use mirrors and light and anything that reflects light as doorways to get through. So they had told me that's probably how they visited me, because I told them that I didn't feel that there was any spacecraft involved unless I had forgot about the experience, and they did say that yes, they can travel without spaceships, and they can come through mirrors, and like I said, any reflective object where there is light. So I found that was very interesting. They took the precise measurements of my room from the mirrors and where I had said I had met this creature, and he said yes, it's highly probable what had happened is this
Is it in this house?
Came through the mirror. Yes, but it's not set up the way that it used to.
Right, well, we'll go up to the room and see it, huh?
No, we can't. It's a totally different room now.
Well, what about the guy that came? Can you describe him? Was he kind of like, was there something weird about him, or what was his deal?
The conversations that we
guy.
had, the first meeting, where I was really nervous. And
But what's he look like? I mean, is he like a cop guy, or is he hippie?
He's very clean cut and claims to be a student of astrophysics and other degrees. I believe he was going for engineering, perhaps. So he's a very intelligent person. And we ended up into this conversation where I was really kind of nervous and was wondering if this person could possibly be Men in Black, MIB type, and through our conversations, what his response was to me at one point was that now I'm pretty certain that they are MIB, but I have nothing to prove that. But what he had said was, if I was here and suddenly, interviewing you, and something would happen to me, you would be one of the first people that they would come to investigate. And I thought that was very strange that he said that. But perhaps it was just, because I was one of his recent contacts and I was a stranger, so they would report my name for investigation if something were to happen to him. And then he told me that on the computers, the internet world, www, they have everyone coded a certain color. And then he gave me an example, which I don't remember the definite, what he had said, but what I gathered from what he was saying, I said to him, so you would have to be Men in Black then. I was basically asking him originally if he was Men in Black. Of course, he denied it. And then we got in this other conversation where people are color-coded, and the FBI just instilled this software recently. Well, how would he know that? And how would he know what the colors meant? Unless, he had some affiliation with the FBI, CIA. So I figured, well, you really are Men in Black. And he's like, well, what if I was? And I said, well, there's not much I can do about it now. You already know my story, enough of my story and where I live. So what am I going to do? And then he just laughed, and I just laughed back. And that was the end of that conversation, because at that point I didn't want to keep on digging. I got a little bit nervous of, Men in Black. I don't know what they're up to. Nobody really does, but they always seem to show up when there's some kind of alien activity going on. So they had told me that they would hook me up with a hypnotist to try to dig some more stuff up if it's even there. And that never happened. So I gave them my story, thinking that they were going to give me something in return, and that's, more therapy, hypnotherapy, to try to figure out, hey, was I abducted? How long's this been going on? Maybe it's been going on since I was a child. But apparently they're not interested in finding out. I still personally am interested. And maybe someday we'll go through that process. But it just seemed kind of strange that they would tell me that, but then nothing comes out of it.